Welcome back to the Daily Shift. Today is all about if you're feeling behind, this is for you. This is a message that we've needed so many times. Every time that we have felt behind, every time that we've compared ourselves to somebody else, every time that we've scrolled through social media and just started thinking like, hey, are we on the right track?
Yeah. I think it's something that I went through for several years in the early stages of my business. You look around, and at the risk of sounding arrogant, I would sometimes see people like succeeding, and I would think, gosh, I'm smarter than that. How are they making more money than me? And so I would get sometimes down on myself, and I would feel so behind, so overwhelmed at times. So we're going to talk a lot about how to overcome that and not just feel better about ourselves, but to ensure that we're taking the actions to validate that feeling better about ourselves and get from feeling behind to getting ahead.
I felt this way this morning heavily and just feeling like we were so behind and we have so many things to do. But I just sat there. I went for a walk and I was just feeling down on myself like, damn, like, are we not doing the things right? Even though every hour, like, we're working our asses off. And then I sat with God for a little bit and I was just like, God doesn't give you that thought that you're behind, right? He tells you every single time that you're in the exact right place that you're supposed to be. So I started thinking of this, and that's why I wanted to do this show, was to kind of give our process for how we get over that. Honestly, for me, probably weekly thing that I feel of being behind.
So I think for me, the first thing is I always take it back to, we talk a lot about this, but I always take it back to the word. Like, what is the foundation of where we're supposed to be? And there's a season for everything, right? To everything, there's a time and a season. And growing up on a farm, the nature all around us like shows us those cycles and those seasons. And sometimes it's just lack of clarity, or sometimes it's feeling like we're putting in the effort but not getting the desired result. And I was thinking of some examples I'll share a little further on in the show today that really helped it click for me when I started comparing it. Of course, being raised on a farm, comparing it to the cycle of animals and various projects on the farm and crops and seasons. But where do you want to start today?
Start by saying hi to some of the people in here. Jerry, what's up? Marilyn.
Jerry.
Hello, Les.
Hello.
Bill. Bella. Hello. So today's frame really is something that I have been feeling, which is I've been comparing timelines to my past, to my future, and to other people who might be in the space or might be a little bit ahead. I feel like sometimes I need to be further along than I currently am, and then I'll feel that in myself, like, hey, Leo, you should be doing more. You should be working harder. You should be much further than this. And then I might see other people building. I might see other people posting. I might see other people moving faster than I am.
Yeah.
And I might mistake the energy in that moment of saying I should be doing more. And then kind of the whispers that happen saying that, hey, you're behind.
Yeah.
Right? That whisper that you have to discern whether that's your voice or not.
Where's it come from?
I think it's the enemy that constantly tries pulling you down, because it can't make you do anything, but it can whisper in your ear when you're weak, whisper in your ear when you're tired, whisper in your ear when you're not feeling the best, and it'll say things like you're behind, you're falling behind, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
And it'll create doubt in you, and that creates a lot of indecision.
So you made me think of the verse that says, it's not wise to compare ourselves among ourselves. And I think of the meaning behind that going, every time I start comparing, I either, because as humans, right, we can go find people who are not as far along as we are. Be like, I'm doing amazing. Or we can go find people who are further ahead of us and feel like absolute crap. But the reality is that if we're on the path and in the season we're supposed to be, then we're not behind or ahead. We're right where we're supposed to be. And to me, that comes down to saying, am I taking the action I know to take? Do I have clarity on what I'm supposed to be doing? And if I'm taking the steps, and, of course, everything comes back to, if I'm building the kingdom, if I'm doing the actions that drive that path forward, then it's not behind or ahead compared to somebody else, because nobody's path is the same as someone else's, right?
Right.
Everyone's path is different. So if I compared my 30-year-old self to someone else who's 20 or 40 or 50, like that's going to be drastically different. Or somebody else who's also my same age. But understanding that our business we're building, the lives we're living, everything that we're doing is right on track in the timing God set forth. Like, to me, that's such a powerful, powerful, and peaceful thing.
I like that you say that. And I think it's a constant lie you have to break and overcome. And the reason for talking about it today is to consistently break it for myself, but also give you guys that same tool for how to break that lie that you are behind. Because really, we're not late. We're being prepared in the moment. And if I logically look at the people I compare to in business, for example, if I was on their path, they're not in alignment with where I want to go.
Right.
Right? I wouldn't trade with them anyways. So when I think about that, I feel back to, I believe, where God wants us to feel.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're on the right path. Focus on your mission. Focus on the kingdom of really where you want to lead and where God is leading you. And then you start to feel like, hey, I think I'm in the perfect spot.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time. When I go for a walk, I'll ask myself, God, what are you working on and how can I follow? And what is the one thing that I can do today that can lead me towards that path? And that's what I did this morning. And it gave me so much clarity and it cleared up my mind. So instead of comparing, instead of constantly listening to that voice saying you're behind, you can listen to God's voice a little bit easier.
Where does that begin from? Like, I know there is the spiritual side and there's like the physical side, right? We see something on social media. We've seen somebody post something and then suddenly you feel behind or ahead or different. Or you know, for me, like if I didn't sleep well, right, things are automatically magnified. And so where do you think those thoughts originate? Yes, with the enemy. How much of that is spiritual and physical?
I think if we don't give ourselves enough hydration, give ourselves enough rest, then that's typically where it comes up. You know, if your body is tired, your mind is weak. If your mind is weak, I think that's where the enemy can come in. But let's just say this was 2 years ago when I used to still feel the same thing and get over it.
Yeah.
Right? It's because our self-talk says also that you're behind. Hey, I'm weak. I'm not working hard enough. Oh, I'm not worthy of building this business. I'm not worthy of being successful. Right? I believe it's a mix. Now I understand it's the enemy.
Yeah.
But it's still a mix of you and your habit of talking to yourself, of saying that you're not worthy. And then because of those words, it hurts yourself, and then you get lazier, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that starts to happen. And I think it's in that moment, again, 2 years ago, before I started to build a strong relationship with God, 2 years ago, it was simply going in the mirror and ask yourself, like, where do these messages come from? Like, why am I saying that to myself?
Yeah.
And instead saying, what is the one thing that I can do today that will move my vision forward?
And I so appreciate you bringing up this topic for today's show, because as we're here talking about it, that's not the easiest thing to do. Number one is like the vulnerability of you opening and saying, look, you know, I feel this way. But number two, for everyone on here, either currently you are or in the past you have felt behind.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we break out of that? I think we go from hoping or sometimes just desiring to knowing. And knowing comes in true faith. I know it will happen. I know it will come together. I know I'm on the right path even when we don't see it.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned this topic today, immediately my mind started rushing to Bible verses, because I felt behind so many times over the last several years. And it started going to Bible verses. It started going to farm examples. It started going all over. And I was thinking of Joseph. History tells us he was sold when he was in his teens, probably. You think about someone, you know, in his early or mid-teens being sold into slavery, and now for more than a dozen years, probably 15 plus years, he's in this season of preparation in the prison, preparation in the lies, preparation in being forgotten, preparation, though, for 15 years to finally, when the door opened and he goes to the palace, all of the preparation of his leadership through those 15 years that appeared to just be absolute crap in the prison, being lied on, being forgotten, everything that seemed like he was beating his head against a brick wall for 15 years all made sense. And we'll call it, for the sake of this discussion, in that 16th year when he went to the palace and was made second in command.
Yeah, I like that story a lot with Joseph. And I think every single day we are learning something I'm learning every single day is what feeling we're going through is always going to be fleeting.
Yeah.
Whether it's happiness, whether it's stress, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear, whether it's envy, all those feelings, they're always fleeting. And you can choose to let that feeling control you in the moment and create another worse action that creates more of that feeling. Or you can back up and say, I don't have to become that feeling. Right. So this morning and right now, like feeling a lot of angst, like a lot of anger, a lot of that type of energy come up. And right now it's like, okay, do I want to feel that right now and let that lead? Or do I want to back up and watch it like I'm watching it right now? It's like, doesn't feel good, but I know it's fleeting.
Yeah.
I know for a fact in about 30 minutes, I'm going to feel great. I'm going to eat lunch. I'll feel great.
Yeah.
But it's also knowing that I really didn't want to hop on the show, didn't want to do this, but knowing that, okay, we committed to it every single day. But it's live in the moment of you sit back and you watch your emotion of anger and anxiety and you say it like, it does not have to control me right now. And then you let it pass and you keep talking, you keep praying to God and you speak out loud. For me, it helps when I speak out loud to God, like, God, guide me through this. And then the anxiety passes.
Yeah.
And then you never have to act on it ever. And how does this relate to feeling behind? That feeling of behind is a fleeting feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Once you, again, realize that we have limbs and the ability to see and the ability to walk, while some people are in the hospital right now going through the worst times, we then realize that, hey, why am I comparing myself to X, Y, and Z person? Why don't I just look at my own life right now and see how beautiful it is? And the fact that God only blesses. Why would God bless us with more if we can't be grateful for what we have right now?
What a perspective. I think that's a powerful perspective, and something that I love, Leo, about what you just said is in the moment you're feeling that, because it's easy to look back on it and be like, oh, why'd I feel that way? Right. But in the moment you're feeling it, you're saying, hey, this is why I feel this way. Let me fix it. Let me just lean on God in the tough time rather than, letting it flow for days or weeks. Because some people go through that for months or years before they deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But where does that come from for you? That ability to confess it in the moment and to I guess release it, for lack of a better term.
Well, before I was a very angry person.
Yeah.
I was very, very angry every single day. I'd always want to fight. I'd always want to start things because I just had I didn't know where to put the anger. And it wasn't until I started to meditate, because I had a coworker tell me about it, and I started to sit down and meditate, and I just realized how negative I was. I realized how much I hated myself. I realized how depressed I was. I realized how just angry I was because of my childhood.
Yeah.
So when I started to meditate, I was able to just close my eyes and watch my thoughts for the first time.
Yeah.
Michael Singer has a really good book. I believe it's Michael Singer, called The Untethered Soul. And it explains this idea that if Andrew had another Andrew, it was the same Andrew, but you had to spend a whole day with this Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay. And you went driving with this Andrew, and you were driving and you guys were having a conversation. Would you like that Andrew? And let's just say before, it was that Andrew was very mean to yourself, right? So he was calling you fat, he was calling you ugly, he was calling all these terrible, terrible things, saying you're not worthy, calling you broke, all these terrible names, saying it to you, to your face. Would you be friends with him?
Absolutely not.
Same way I felt. Like I felt like I would not spend a single day with that person, single hour with that person. But I have to spend 24/7 every single day with that person.
What a perspective, man.
That's what helped me sit back and realize, like, yo, I hate myself.
Yeah.
let me not hate myself because, okay, it got to a point where I was like, you're in the car. It's like, hey, if I hate myself this much, why am I still alive? Like, why am I still living? So then you get to a sense of a stopping point of let me be a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Because the alternative is
Yeah.
not being here. So let me start being a little bit nicer. Let me imagine I'm with myself again and let me be nice to him.
Yeah.
And when he's being difficult to me, let me stop that in the tracks and say, hey, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I don't accept that anymore. Then I started to understand that you can control your self-talk and you can control the emotion through that perspective. And I did that for 3-4 years, I guess 5 years now, to the point where I can control it as soon as I have a bad thought.
How do you control it? Is it a gratitude? Is it what's that shift?
Well, if you start, for example, if I hear my voice start saying, now I know it, I say it's the enemy and I cast it away and I talk to God. Before, and still now, in addition to that, still now, I will tell that voice to shut up. Like I will say a lot more emphasis I don't want to say here, but I would just say, shut up. You don't control me.
We don't talk that way. Yeah.
And like a dog, like we don't talk that way. Try again. And then I'll try again.
Wow.
And in the moments, I'll just tell myself like, hey, let's not do that.
What a gift though. Like what a powerful skill. Because I remember when I didn't realize I hated myself, but when our brotherhood came together, when we became friends, like you asked me that question. And the talk to myself was so negative all the time. I did not enjoy time with myself. And that was a powerful breakthrough. So how are you talking to yourself? What a powerful question. Now, when it comes to understanding seasons, and I think this is really cool to perspective as we fall behind sometimes. I was thinking about farm, right? When you plant, if you plant in the spring, and I think we're entering a very exciting time as a country and as a company and as brothers and as like life is happening in an incredible way right now. The opportunity is tremendous. Yeah. And I see this in the summer, in the springtime, farmers would plant. I remember my uncle, he has tractors. I'd see him running from the time I'd wake up before sunup to the after sundown late in the evening for a season during the springtime because he was planting, getting all the crops out. And then summertime, they grow, the sunshine, the rain, all the things, but there's nothing there. They're just growing. And then fall time is harvest time. And he would go out and he would harvest the crops. And I thought about those seasons, and I got to thinking in terms, because the Bible verse says that does not nature itself teach you like there's a God? And I was thinking in nature, there's so many ways that like God shows us his timing and his seasons over and over again. And I was thinking of chickens because we used to have laying hens. And
have what?
Laying hens, like chickens that lay eggs.
Yeah.
And the laying...
Sorry, I thought all chickens laid eggs, no?
Not roosters.
Okay, keep going.
So the laying hens would be out there. We'd count the chickens every day because there was foxes and coons and different things. And sometimes we had to make sure all the chickens were there. And we counted the chickens every day. 27, 27, 27. Wait, there's only 26. We're missing a chicken. So I go in the chicken house. And, of course, number one, you have to wait for 2 years for a golden comet. That was the kind of chicken. A golden comet to start laying eggs.
Yeah.
So for 2 years, you're paying to feed these things, to raise them up, to keep them safe before you start getting eggs or anything. And then we fast forward and we now see chickens laying eggs, but we're down from 27 to 26. So I walk into the hen house and she's sitting on the eggs. And what is crazy to me, and this is a season that is so powerful. She's sitting on the eggs. If the eggs are in the cold for more than about 2 to 4 minutes a day, the little chicken that's being birthed, for lack of a better term, inside of that little egg is going to die. Mm-hmm. Has to be a perfect temperature in the 90-something, 97 or 98 degrees for basically 23 hours and something minutes a day. So for 20-something days, this hen, for all but a couple minutes a day, is sitting on those eggs. And you walk in there, and I remember trying to gather eggs and there'd be a laying hen sitting on them, and she will attack you. I mean, the nicest hens that always are just friendly will attack the living daylights out of you because you're taking the eggs. And I was thinking of the sacrifice for those 3 or 4 weeks that she basically barely eats, barely drinks, barely does anything except sits there and protects those eggs. And because of that season, when that season is over, you see her running around with all these little chickies around her. And anytime she gets scared, anytime she would get afraid or she would sense danger, or I remember being in the chicken pen and the chicken all of a sudden just spreads herself like this and all the little chickies run underneath her. What a strange thing, because normally they just do that in danger. And I look up and there's a hawk flying over. Big bird. A hawk's flying over and looking, and I'm going, oh, she's seen it before I did. Them spidey senses of a mama hen was catching it. And I'm watching this happen in nature. And it made me think in business, right? The hen's not sitting there going, oh my gosh, this sucks. I'm sitting on these eggs. She's just doing what she's meant to do because it's that season for her. And so today, as you mentioned seasons, that was what was coming through my mind, was saying, no matter where we are in building business and building life and doing God's work and building kingdom, as long as we are doing what we are meant for that season, you're not behind, you're not ahead, you're right where you're supposed to be.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think that when we look at our own lives and ask ourselves what season we're in, it gets a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because we might be in a new transition in our career or in our business, and you're in the planting season, right? You are planting new seeds. You're learning new ideas and planting those, and it won't be until 3 months later that some fruits will come out of it.
Yeah.
But if you start to think in that first season that I need to harvest in that same month, you're always going to feel behind.
Right.
And I think this is a really good topic because this is literally what we're in. We're in another planting season.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact that harvest is in probably 45 days.
Yeah.
Right? And however, though, my mind is like, harvest now, harvest now, harvest now. So my mind says, you're behind, you're behind, you're behind, you're behind. However, if we understand the natural seasons of life, then we're good. Then my mind can say, I know that harvest season is probably is for us calculated in about 45 days for certain projects. And I also understand that there are points of harvest that I can have now.
Yeah.
Right? There's some fruits that can happen now that can please my mind of needing to harvest things. But at least that eases us up of saying we don't have to have it right now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It is. And I think it's knowing, we don't know what's going to happen today or tomorrow, but we can know the seasons. You know that if you have been studying and you've been reading and you have been working and you have been building and you've been doing sales calls or you've been doing the things, it's a matter of time until the contracts come, until the deals come, until the things flow. And so it's planting the good seed in good ground every single day, and it's trusting and it's knowing that it's happened before. And the tough thing for new entrepreneurs is many times you're in that early season of planting, and if it's your first springtime and you plant and 30 days later you're going, oh my gosh, where's the harvest? Is this really going to work? And it wasn't meant to be harvested yet. And I think it's such a powerful thing when you can plant, knowing that God waters, God gives the sunshine, God gives the increase, and we get to benefit and the gift of harvesting it. And of course, getting to give that back to him, essentially managing it for him in the first place. And once that knowledge comes, and if you haven't experienced that, many of you have experienced that in a variety of ways in your life. If you haven't already experienced that in your business you're in, borrow the experience of someone else and know that conversion always works when you plant good seed in good ground and take the right actions.
But what happens is in a planting season, the devil will try to tempt you to not plant, to not keep learning, and to sit in that season. It's kind of like a fifth season, right? There's the season of planting, the season of harvesting, the season of the other two. But there's a fifth season, and I feel like that's where a lot of people are stuck. Is you're in a season of planting where you're supposed to be taking a lot in. You're supposed to be learning a lot. But when the devil starts saying you're behind, you shouldn't post that. People are going to make fun of you. Oh, don't start that business. Don't put money here. You start to think that that's you.
Yeah.
And then so you don't do anything for a month, for 6 months, for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And it's a season of nothingness. It's a season of stagnancy.
Yeah.
And we're tempted with that every day. I said it every week earlier, but every day we're tempted with this voice in our head of don't do it. People are going to make fun of you. I didn't want to do the show today because I was like, I don't know. I don't feel good. Yeah. And I was like, where does that? That's not me. I don't say those things. God doesn't say those things. Mm-hmm. So you're left to one other voice, right? The enemy. And you cast it away by saying like, I am protected by God, right? I am protected by the blood of Jesus. You say those things out loud and you're like, okay, we're good. Yeah. God doesn't give you those thoughts.
Right.
So don't get trapped in this season of nothingness just because the devil's tempting you.
And that is such a powerful thing. Back to the natural example. Imagine you planted. Imagine the increase came. You just got done harvesting. Winter's over. And it's springtime, and you go, no, I've still got some left from last year. I'm good. Like, we'll just wait. We'll wait to plant till next year. Right. Come along about summer, your life, it sucks because you have not done the thing you knew to do. And this is the most, there's 2 times that you're tested. There's more than 2. There's 2 times that you're majorly tested. That is when it's time to plant or when you're planting and you're not yet reaping, right? And then it's going, is this even working? And then the other time you're tested, probably equally or more, is when the reaping is happening. Saying, am I going to keep planning and keep doing the things I know to do even though things are good right now? I've seen so many people blow up because they do well, get comfortable, and it all comes crashing down. And I think it's a powerful thing when you can, like you're doing today, call ourselves out. Be surrounded. This comes back to iron sharpens iron. Be surrounded by people who are close to you, the right kind of brothers, people, friends, who can call you out on your crap and say, you know what? It's time to make sure we're continuing to do the thing we know, even though things are tough, even though things are great, even though things are exceptional, even though everything is coming together. No matter where we are in the cycle, are we doing the things we know to do? We read sometimes, whether it's social media, you even think about the Bible times, right? That's kind of a highlight reel in the way. You see miracles, you see cool things happening, but then you look and go, wait a second, is this the mundane of every day? Like 90% of our life is lived in the daily mundane, and how we deal with that is what makes us who we are.
So I think something we can all do today, something that I did right before this, but I'm going to continue to do, is you take out a notebook and you just write down, you block out 10 minutes and you write down, what is God working on in my life? What is going to come from this season?
That's really good.
Because I know I'm strengthening right now my ability to manage my emotions really well.
Yeah.
Right. And I was reminded of that today. I was tested again today. So if you write that down, you start to get clarity on that.
Yeah.
You reveal it. You cast awareness onto it. You cast light onto it. And when that happens, you can start to strategize behind it. Hey, I'm going to just be very attentive of it. I'm going to meditate this morning. Hey, after a long work block, I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes and meditate. And that gives you the strategy for the day so you don't feel behind. So you don't feel like you have to compare yourself. You simply look to today of what can I do right now to get out of this situation, to get out of this feeling. Any other action step you want to give out?
I think it's exactly what you said. Anything you can do that gives wisdom. For me, where I get wisdom is talking to God, is reading, and is writing. And I think it comes back down to that simplest form. Can I read? Can I write? Can I talk to God? Make sure you're guarding what I call your eye gate and your ear gate. Because what comes in the eyes, what comes in the ears, it's affecting you more than you know. And so what's tempting to do is whenever we feel that way, to go scroll social media and let the great algorithms determine what we're going to feel next. Ever felt that? Yeah. and then suddenly you're feeling emotions about politics or about somebody else winning or about somebody else losing or about somebody else's fight or about something else. No control over what's coming in. It's just whatever the great algorithm decides. Don't give it that control. Take charge. I'll hop on there later if I need to post. I need to do my thing. Great. Right now, I am going to take charge. I know what's in this book. I know what's in the ultimate book. Go read it. I know that God has only good things for me. Go talk to him. I know that I can write what's on my mind. Write it out. I think that's a powerful shift.
I love that. This was a great topic. I felt really good about it. If you enjoyed this, type in the chat shift so we know who is here in the beginning. And we're going to be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. That was your Daily Shift. That's what we're going to name this show from now on, as the Daily Shift.
The Daily Shift.
If you're here, you are definitely not behind. You are doing such great things for yourself, and you are exactly where you need to be. So
now go get to work so you don't get behind. I'm kidding.
Exactly. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Peace out.
You're loved.
Bye-bye.